All right, I'm going to pause this recording for a bit. Recording going to I have to do some editing on this piece. Okay, it looks like I'm going to be on my own Facebook Live page for those people. So anybody who can, if you want to let people know once it's verified that I'm on my personal page as opposed to the Facebook the Holistic Training Institute page, then please do so. All righty. Okay, hey, welcome everybody. This is Dr. Jesse Brown here. To some of you, the holistic guru. And we're talking about health and wellness. That's what it's about. Okay, this is 2024 at the time of this recording, and your health is your greatest wealth, right? For so many people. African Americans are getting sicker sooner and dying faster than anybody else, and we have a problem with obesity here, and not only here in Detroit, where I am, and where a number of us are, but people across the country. It's weight. We have health disparities. We have these problems. And what are health disparities? Health disparities are basically saying that there's the the rate and the level at which African Americans and other people of color are getting chronic illnesses and dying is higher than other communities. And why would that be when the healthiest people that came from Africa are here? We're excelling in sports and everything else, but our health is suffering. And there's a problem with that. So it's like on one hand, how are we the healthiest people? How are we doing great in all levels of sports and competition and those type of things? But we're also leading in the negative things. And again, chronic ailments, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, certain forms of cancer. There's quite a dichotomy there. There's quite a conflict there, which says, we're strong, but we're weak. We can be the strongest and we're weakest. We have the potential to be the healthiest people on the planet, be the healthiest people definitely in the United States, but on the planet as well, if we follow certain principles. So I'm going to go over some things. I'm going to go over about the top 5 tips in areas where people can make some changes. Now, this is for people who want to lose weight, but this is also for people who don't need to lose weight. If you want to improve your blood sugar, your blood pressure, if you want to increase your chances for longevity, short of excellence, nobody can guarantee a certain number of years. Nobody can do that. Okay. I don't care what plan you follow. I don't care what philosophy. No one can say that you're going to be here one day, 1 week, 1 year longer. However, and we know that we're all going to pass away, but we don't want to die from our own hands, right? We don't want to die from ignorance or neglect. So we do everything that we can, just like you put on your seatbelt, or you look both ways before you cross the street. You don't run into traffic or go out into the freeway or do something that will probably assure you're passing away prematurely or by your own hand. But we can do those things. We can do more of those things when it comes to diet and lifestyle. Most of the chronic ailments that we get are not as a result of genetics. A small percentage of our diseases and causes of death are due to genetics. The majority of these diseases and deaths are because of the choices that we make, what we choose to eat, how we live, what we do or do not do. what we participate in or do not participate in. So understanding that, then if we understand and know what choices that we can make that can improve or enhance our well-being, that of our loved ones, that of our community members, then we can be a part of the solution and not the problem. Right? You've probably heard that expression, you're either part of the solution or you're part of the problem. We're either contributing to that as a community in terms of our culture, in terms of health and wellness, or we're doing something that degrades that, right? Either we're saying, okay, smoke, drink, do whatever. Okay. What are we encouraging? What are you encouraging in your home, in your family? The philosophy or the mission of the Holistic Training Institute is to train healers in every home, in every family, in every community. I believe that that's the ultimate answer. That's the solution. We spent billions of dollars as a country, as a nation. We spend more money than most civilized nations on healthcare, but we're only about 16th in terms of healthfulness, in terms of when we get sick and when we die. So how do you, if you spent the most on a car or home or anything, you'd expect to get the best, right? We're not getting the best results. We're not getting results as good as some third world countries. And it's within our power to change it. And again, it's not that we need to put billions of dollars more into a system that's not working. We need to find the things that do work. Now, so let's look at things historically. Historically, we um, we came from an agrarian culture. We came from the South, and we ate different. I'll say we ate differently. Now, some of it was good, and some of it not so good. But our earliest form of healthcare before this modern medical system of the past 150 or so years, we knew about herbs, we knew about foods, we knew about how to take care of ourselves. We delivered our own babies, right? Okay. And some people still are doing that at home. We took care of wounds and all types of things, the common, ordinary things we knew what to do. My mother took care of us naturally. Okay. My father didn't have health care. I don't think my father and mother had health care until they were in their adult years. It wasn't universal health care and all this. It wasn't running to the doctor hospital. That was expensive. So for those poor people, for those people who came from meager beginnings, we had to know how to feed ourselves on a budget, how to take care of our health, how not to get sick so we didn't have to miss work and miss dollars. We didn't always have the healthcare plans and sick days and all those types of things. So people had to know what to do. So we're going to go back to that. I say the answer is training healers in every home, in every family, in every community, in every place of worship, where we work, wherever we are, healthcare can be delivered. So again, I'm gonna share some principles. I'm gonna share some basic things. Some of these things are gonna be common to you. And I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna challenge you. I say, one, if you understand this, if you know this, then great. It's not about having the information, it's about applying it. Okay. Knowledge is not power. Information is not power. Application is power. You can know how to make $1 million, multi-millions, but if you don't apply it and you don't get that result, what happens? We can know what to do. We can know that smoking, drinking alcohol or to excess or doing X number, any number of different things is not good for us. But do we apply that? How do we apply that? How does that fit into our lives? How does that impact us, the ones we love, our community, so that we're not at the bottom of the barrel? Okay. So I'm going to, let's see, as long as I can share my screen here, get to this, and I'm gonna have someone to, so I'm gonna ask I've got some assistants on here, and they're gonna be admitting people onto Zoom. Let's see, can you all see me okay? All right, you all can see my screen, right? Somebody give me a thumbs up. Yeah. All right. Okay, so this is about I say achieving and sustaining weight loss. You see that screen, right? How you doing, Dr. Nancy? Okay, so this is 5 steps, and they could be 10, 20, or more, but we're gonna cover 5 that'll be beneficial for you, your loved ones, and community. And this is going to speak to um, tips on improved health and longevity, focus on whole foods, prioritizing plant-based proteins, incorporating daily greens, limiting processed foods and sugars, and engaging in regular physical activity. Those are the 5 basic principles. First of all, now focusing on whole foods. Now, before we got fast foods, before we got kind of spoiled, where we didn't have to do our own cooking, we go to restaurants. Before we perhaps got as prosperous as we are now, we prepared our own food at home. I know I did it. I know I did, or my mother did. We had the majority of our meals at home, um, prepared. My mother bought the food, prepared it. It was rare. It was the exception to the rule that we would have food from outside, for go to a restaurant or have something brought in. My father liked Chinese food. I didn't like Chinese food so much, but and then sometimes we'd have the little burgers and that sort of thing. That was more of a treat. That was not the staple. So as we look at that, one of the determining factors of our health and how we're going to maintain our weight and get a balanced diet, what would be considered a balanced diet or modern balanced diet, was, are you preparing your own food? Now, when you prepare your own food, you know what's in it. You select it a certain way, and you get the best. Now, what is the best? When we look at what the best is, that is whole. It's all called whole foods, plant-based diet. That means eating food that is as close to nature as possible. And that naturally will control calories. We can eat, actually, with a whole foods plant-based diet, when we eliminate a lot of the meats, when we eliminate the processed foods and the sugars, and get back to our fruits, our vegetables, our whole grains, that being the foundation and the majority of what we eat. I don't count calories. Right? And some of you know, I went from nearly 200 pounds in 2020, and to 160 pounds, and during COVID, at the height of COVID. Why? I was preparing my foods at home. I wasn't going to restaurants, and not that I went out a lot, but of course, when I was operating my clinic, I would, get my lunches or get at least typically a meal or so a day out. But I prepared my food at home. I went shopping more often. Of course, the grocery stores are open; they had to be, and it was easier for me to plan my meals. As I did that, that was one of the key steps: selecting the foods, preparing the meals, leaving the processed foods alone. Now, I haven't eaten meat in a long time anyway, and I don't do dairy and a lot of sweets and those types of things. But when we do that, we can eat pretty much as much, pretty much as much as we want to eat without having to count calories. And a calorie isn't just a calorie. A calorie from a soda is not the same as a calorie from a carrot or fruit or vegetable. It's not all the same. Your body processes it differently. It's packaged differently. Okay. You can get a lot more calories. You can get a lot more um, in processed foods than you do in foods that come from nature. Make sense? So the amount of calories that it would take for you to get, let's say, 400 calories of carrots, you could drink a soda and get, I don't know how many calories are in there, a lot more calories in a soda that your body's not really going to use. Your body's not going to process as well. That's going to drive your blood sugar up. And if you were to eat the equivalent in carrots, you'd have to eat a lot more. It would fill you up before you get to that point, right? You can eat an apple pie more easily than you could eat 5 or 6 apples. So natural calorie control when you eat whole foods, plant-based. No, 1, 2, they are nutrient dense. There's a lot of nutrition in there. When you do get those nutrients, your body signals is full, is satisfied. It naturally curbs your appetite. So we prioritize plant-based proteins. And the result is they're lower in saturated fats, right? They're lower in saturated fats than they're higher in fiber. It reduces the risk of heart disease. So when they talk about watching your cholesterol, watching your blood pressure and those things, and of course, losing weight and maintaining your weight, plant-based proteins are the way to go. There's all kinds of diets that are out there though, right? People say, oh, do low carb, do keto, do this, do that. But whole foods plant-based is consistently been proven and shown both here in the US and abroad to be a diet or a way of eating that has healthful benefits in addition to improving our vitals, losing weight, maintaining our energy, our ability to perform without drugs, interventions, and other things. So opting for plant-based proteins can also have a lower environmental impact compared to animal-based proteins as well. You don't have to feed 1,000 cows in, that are going to go to slaughter. You don't have to feed them the grains that we would otherwise eat. So this is better environmentally as well. Y'all can see these slides, right? I can't tell you. Yeah. Okay. Incorporating daily greens, volume without the calories. Leafy greens and vegetables. And of course, our parents, I know my parents said, eat your vegetables, eat your vegetables. We had vegetables at every meal. We probably don't get enough greens and enough vegetables now. If we were to take our plate and prioritize that and make sure we got greens every day, and and that's our greens and our cruciferous vegetables, our kale and our and our broccoli and spinach and these things. You prepare that. If you have the amounts that your body needs, if you're getting that, adequate amounts daily, it's going to fill you up. It's going to keep you full. It's going to provide the fiber that your body needs. It's going to satisfy you. So it also curbs your appetite for the sweets and the other things the processed foods that work against your health. So getting daily greens are full. They're full of vitamins, minerals, fiber. We're virtually assured that we're going to get the nutrients that we need by getting our daily greens as well. And then limiting processed foods and sugar. So we have snack habits in the US. We're eating sweets all the time. We may wake up, people waking up, eating breakfast cereals that are sweet. And then, it's the having a meal and having a dessert, having something sweet, having chips and again, the sodas and all these types of things that are processed despite your blood sugar. They cause they have insulin resistance and contribute to diabetes and all types of health problems. Of course, the weight. Okay, the way to combat that is reducing those processed foods. Looking at, there's certain areas in the in the grocery store. They say, look to the perimeter pretty much in the grocery stores. Go to your fruit and vegetable aisle in section. And one of the things we can do, I'll say as African Americans, I'll say in particular, and people in general, is that you look in those areas and you find some things that you can eat that are different than what you were accustomed to or have been taught to eat and prepare. Okay. A lot of people think that the health problems that we have are genetic, and it's not that we're passing along diseases, it's that we're passing along habits. Pretty much daily in holidays and throughout the year, we're eating the same things over and over and over. So no wonder we're getting the same diseases. But if you look at people in Asia, people in Africa and other places that aren't having these ailments, they're eating differently. They're eating more from the land. They don't eat as much meat as we do. And some people would say they can't afford it, but it's not just they can't afford it. It doesn't. You wouldn't kill if you were raising chickens. You wouldn't kill a chicken every other day to have chickens. You wouldn't slaughter an animal every other day. So the amounts of meat that they would have are less. They would be fresher. They would tend to be local, and that would make comprise the majority of what's on the plate. So processed foods and sugar, high calories, low in nutrients, and then when we get will allow us to make healthier choices. Engaging in regular physical activity. I'm in the gym practically every day. I'm going to run outside. I'm going to run at the gym. I'm going to do something. We attribute too much to aging. We say, oh, okay, I can't do this and I can't do that because I'm older. Well, someone once told me, they said, your body doesn't know how old your cells are. Your activity level can be higher or lower than most people in your age group. What tends to happen, I know here in Detroit, is that when we turn 16, we get that driver's license. And when we get that first car, now we want to drive every place. And we don't ride our bikes and we don't walk and we don't do the things that we did in our younger years. So is it a process of aging, or is it a matter of our lower levels of activity? We take on responsibilities, we work, we're told to work more and work more, get more stuff. Okay, that we can ride around in this convenient. We want the car, and then we want the boat, and we want the this, we want that, and we want to travel. We want to do things that don't require us to be as physically active as we need to be. How physically active do you need to be? Now, some will say half an hour, say about an hour a day of sustained physical activity. Now, not just steps, and not just I'll say not just steps. The more vigorous the activity that we have, the more we get to a point where we're breathing differently, where our heart is pumping, where we're working up a sweat, the better. So I try to do that. I typically run now, and this is just me. This is because I'm a runner, and I'm not saying people can start here or should start here, but I'll run 3 miles, 6 miles, some days 10 and more or so, especially if I'm doing a race. I like to compete. And that motivates me. Having something that I'm going to do, a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon or something, gets me on track towards a goal that I want to achieve. So I said, one of the reasons why I started running marathons, I said I wanted to be in marathon shape by the time I turned 50. So I knew that as I was maturing, that exercising was going to be a challenge. I wanted to be in a certain a physical condition by the time I turned 50. So I set a goal to be in marathon shape, and I went to my doctor. I got checked out, and I did that, and I worked toward that. What are you working toward? Do you have something, you have something that you want to do that you've never done before? If you've never done a 5K, you've never done 10K, if you know that you can't walk down the block or around the block or walk a half a mile or something without getting tired, that's a lot of that is choice. Okay, we see Ernestine Shepherd. We see so many people in their mature years competing in all types of athletic condition, all type of athletic competitions, that is. Okay. So engaging in regular physical activity, making that a priority. If you want to live, you got to keep on moving. And you got to move to a point and not just have a phone up to your ear, walking on a treadmill or something like that, or walking down the street. Okay. Not just 15, again, not just counting the number of steps, but what are you putting into this? So that your blood is circulating, your lymphatic system is working. This is good for our circulatory system, our lymphatic system, our immune system. Is good for digestive health. All together, you got to burn calories. It's what you put in your body and what you do with your body as well. Exercise is great for increasing your metabolism, helping you to burn those calories. Weight management, your mood, your stress. You feel stressed, you get angry, you pop off pretty quickly. Exercise. Okay. You have a young person who's in your household that that this having some challenges. Guess what? Get them out there exercising. Get them out there moving. Most of us need to move more. We're too confined in our homes, in our places of work. We've been confined too long, and it's never too late. It's never too late a time or stage in life that we shouldn't move. If you're alive, you can move, and you can move more and do whatever you can. And you don't have to do 3 miles, 6 miles, or whatever like that. I built up to that over time, but you want to start and keep on doing it. Most people start a New Year's resolution, and within a few months, it's over. Or they'll do something. They're going to do something for Lent. Okay, they're going to do it for a short period of time. One of my students asked me, he says, Dr. Brown, how much should I exercise? How many days should I exercise? I say, how many days do you want to live? Every day that you live, every day that you exercise, the more you exercise, it's like putting some life in the bank. Okay, because it increases your chances for longevity. And again, nobody can guarantee how long you're going to live, but what's the quality of your life? A friend that once asked me, he says, Jess, says, what would you do if you found out that everything that you're doing would only contribute to one more year of life? I said, well, I look at that two ways. One, if the quality of my life was better, then I wouldn't have to live even 1 year longer, right? If the quality of life, so we got to look at just not the quantity of the years, but the quality of life. And secondly, I said, if you found out that you were dying, what would you give to have 1 more year? Okay. Statistically, in the science and everything, research and everything says, if we're doing certain things, our chances of a better quality of life and longevity increases as our blood pressure, blood sugar, weight, and those other vitals and things comes down. Those things improve. It's just a better outlook. Even if we were to get into an accident or something happens, our chances of recovering is much better as well. We have chronological age. We're not going to change that at all. Our physiological or biological age is determined by the choices that we make. What we put in, what we're eating, what's eating us, what we're doing with our lives. And that also leaves a legacy as well. What is our, what type of example are we leaving to our children, our grands, and our, what type of legacy are we leaving as well? Okay. So what are some of the steps towards our goal? What are the things we can do? One, set realistic goals. I know I know what I lost. Actually, when I lost those nearly 40 pounds in 2020, and incidentally, at the time this recording is 2024. So it'll be coming up on 4 years that I've not only lost that weight, but I've kept it off. What happens with most people? They lose weight and then they put it right back on, and sometimes even more, because we don't change fundamentally what we do. We have a temporary diet. We have a temporary change. We have something that again, it's the beginning of the year. It's a birthday's coming up or whatever. It's what you do most of the time, not just what you do some of the time, that makes a difference. So you have a goal. So wherever you are in terms of your weight, in terms of and I would say to look at your weight and look at your numbers. Go to your doctor. If you've gone to the doctor and you've had a health assessment, or you go to your doctor and you have the health assessment, look at those numbers, look into that. If you're taking medication, ask what you can do or find out what you can do to get off that medication. If you want to reverse that. Most times if you lose weight, your blood, the other numbers improve as well. So you take a look at that, set some goals on what changes that you want to make. Think about what difference that's going to make in your life. I'd say, there are a lot of people who will say, if your why is big enough, your how is easy. I say, if you identify your who, then that makes it much easier. And the who it's not just that you want to lose weight. Who are you going to become? What is going to be different about you once you achieve this? How is this going to impact your social life? How is this going to impact your work? How is this going to impact the things that you do, the choices you make from day to day? Even if you go on a vacation, when you go on a vacation, some people, they may be retired, or if they're not retired, they take vacations from time to time. What do you do on a vacation? Do you just go out to dinner and sit by the water or the beach or something? Or are you active? Are you able to go out there and hike and really enjoy and see everything? Or do you have to get shuttled by a taxi or a tour bus every place you go? Uh, how healthy we are, how we feel determines how we're able to experience life and do the things we want to do. So set your goals. Know your who is you, your who is who you want to become. Who is that person that you see and you'd like to be. Perhaps you got a younger picture of yourself when you were at the weight and in the condition that you want to be in. Who are you going to be with? What are you going to be able to do? Who are you in love with, and um, who are you responsible for? Do you have children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews? Okay, who are you going to participate, with? Who are you going to be with if you're on the ideal weight? People who skate, people who ski, people who run, people who do the things that you want to do. Those things are important in terms of looking at and setting goals that on the future person. So you can take a snapshot where you are now and then where you want to be. Monitor your progress. I've got a method I call ATM, assessment, treatment, maintenance. Assess where you are, then you have a treatment or a take action plan. And then how do you maintain that over a longer period of time? And then you have to have something that you measure and you monitor as you go along the way. You're not only monitoring your weight, you're monitoring those numbers. You're monitoring your level of activity. You're monitoring how you feel, your level of stress, how well you sleep, your quality of life. And then seeking support and being in communities, being with people that you enjoy being with. Fortunately, I belong to a ski club. There are running groups. There are people who are doing all types of things. And now, especially with the internet, with online, You can find meetups. You can find, I mean, anything that you think that you want to do. There are people who are doing that. In these years that we have, and whether you're in your 30s, whether you're in your 60s like I am, there are other people who are doing what you want to do. There's people who are fun or exciting, who are living their best lives right now. So it's about choice. So find community, find a buddy. And by the way, as you're going on this journey, you tend to do much better. And I know I do better with a coach. I do better when I'm working out with other people. I do better when I have someone that I'm keeping in touch with or that I go to the gym with. I do a lot of things independently, but we tend to do better when we have at least one person who's behind us, who's supporting us, who's keeping us encouraged. So if my energy is low and I don't feel like going today, and they say, "Hey, come on, we said we're going to do this," have at least one person, and ideally have a community of people so you have more choices. So because each person can teach you something differently. Everybody in life can teach you something different, what to do, what not to do. Okay, people in the gym, people in the community, people, everybody can teach you something. And then be patient, persistent, keep doing it. Okay, so those are kind of five steps, 5 points that you can utilize. Plant-based, and in fact, I've got a similar um, uh, message in terms of alliteration. I say it's plants, and that's the plant-based whole foods. Peeing, getting enough water. What right now I'm drinking some tea. Okay. Water or tea as opposed to juices and sodas and other types of drinks. Making sure we're hydrated, drinking before your meals, vitally important. Do what your mom said don't do. Drink before your meals. Yes, it does. You tend to eat less if you're drinking before your meals. It'll also keep you from eating when you really just need to be hydrated, when you really just need water. Okay, is good for your digestive system, all systems of your body as well. There's a reason why water is the most abundant nutrient, you know, on the earth. And so then when we're urinating, we're flushing our body from those impurities and from the metabolic waste and things that our body's producing. Poop, getting enough fiber, your elimination should increase, should improve. Detroit Holistic Center work with over 60,000 people on colon digestive health. A lot of people are constipated. A lot of people are sluggish. A lot of people have digestive challenges going on because they're not eliminating properly because of what they eat and lack of movement and some other things. So plants, pee, poop, um, I'll say perspire, getting some exercise to the point where you are perspiring. Okay. So your body's heating up, your metabolism is kicking in. That makes a world of difference in terms of how you feel and the results that you get. And then again, persistence, keeping that process going, not just a month or two, not a 10-day challenge, 30-day challenge, and all this stuff that I see on here. Oh, we're going to detox in 30 days. So what? This is a lifelong endeavor, something we want to do long-term. Persistence in anything is key, and it's worthwhile. You're worth it. Okay, somebody's counting on you to be alive and be here and to be inspiration, whatever. You got a role in the world. If you haven't fulfilled your ultimate promise and purpose, it's what you got more living to do, but you can only do that if you're taking care of yourself. Right. So if there are questions, am I online? I'm on Facebook. Bev, I'm gonna ask you thumbs up, thumbs down. Or are you able to see me on Facebook. Let me stop this share. Yes or no? No. Okay. All right. Might have missed that. I will have to, you know what? That actually, you know what? It is showing that I think I'm live I think I'm live on my page. Anyway, so if there are questions that people have or some input that people want to give, then this would be the time to do that. We still have a little bit of time to go before we conclude. In fact, I'm going to ask, there's a long-term a friend of mine who is on the call, Dr. Nancy. And so some input, question, sharing.
What do you eat when you have to take a bag lunch or take something with you?
Oh, what depends. When you say a bag lunch and I had to take something with me, when are we speaking about at an event, or are we speaking about on just when I'm out and about?
Yeah, when you're out and about.
Mm. Well, you know what? Well, avocado. Sometimes it's an avocado sandwich, or something like that, or it can be some vegetables. I'll do smoothies to an extent. I just got to be careful with smoothies because, and what we have to be careful about with smoothies are how quickly we drink them, because they're, we normally wouldn't have that amount of fruits or in such in a short period of time. So smoothies is one go-to, but drinking that slowly. Sandwiches is another, is something else. I really enjoy soups,
Mhm.
and that's not something that, and especially if it's a soup that I can have hot or cold. I'm kind of weird in that everything that I eat does not have to be hot. Yeah, or all the foods that people typically eat hot, I don't have to have hot. So it doesn't have to be a gazpacho soup. It could be a split bean soup, or split pea soup or something. And I'll have that cold. I usually fix on Sundays. I usually fix a soup for the week, and it'll be it can be uh, red beans, any number of beans. Beans are very good to have, very important to our health and for digestive health, for the amount of fiber that it can afford. But I have enough. I have a crock pot, and I make that up to about half full, have enough to have all week. And I eat from that, so I can put that in a container. I can share it with others. We put it in a container. I typically we eat from that, and that's something easy. If I go someplace, it needs to be heated up, or something that's easy enough to get in a pot. So soups, sandwich, some smoothies, um, fruit, especially if I'm exercising heavily. I don't eat. I typically don't eat before I go to the gym.
Mhm.
I usually do that afterwards. Okay, that help?
Mhm.
Okay. Now you're a medical doctor, and you've been doing this for you've been in this for a long time. Are you plant-based?
No, I'm not plant-based, and I'm
Okay.
gluten-free and dairy-free,
Okay.
and I tend to eat meat once a day. But
Hmm.
I like to learn about, what people are suggesting, and probably the suggestions that you had for me today. I've lost a little bit of weight.
Hmm.
A system that I used for, gosh, a few months, supposedly to reset the hypothalamus. So I've lost the weight, but I need to start exercising again, because I think in the fall, last spring, I kind of left that off, and I've done some, but nowhere near enough. So got to get to the gym. Maybe
Yeah.
when we can get the cross country skis out or whatever,
Makes a world of difference.
Mhm.
A world of difference. And again, our ages, we have 3 ages. We have our chronological age. That's not going to change. Folks, that's not going to change. But our biological age, our physiological age can be higher or lower. Like you have some people, they're in their 30s and they're not as mobile as people in their 60s. You have some people in this, so we determine that. And so I tend to focus more on the physiological age, performance, strength, flexibility than what the other numbers are. Unfortunately, we have an old consciousness in here where, it's a baby and they say you're 2 years old. Well, the baby is not old. Okay. When we get to our middle years, oh, you're over the hill. It's a consciousness that oftentimes governs our activities.
Yeah.
Someone asked, is there a danger in having multiple fruits in a smoothie? No. The here's what I do with smoothies. You typically use like an almond milk, or it could be almond or cashew, almond most often. Milk is a base. I may put in a banana. There are times that I'll add a protein. There are other times, and it could be something like natural peanut butter, or it could be a vegan protein. Then I'll put in blueberry. I like blueberries. So there are some things there. We need to have fruits every day. But I like to put in blueberries. I like to put in greens. I may put in a kale, a spinach, or something like that in there as well. Make sure I'm getting the fiber and the nutrients in there too. Flaxseed, I oftentimes put flaxseed in. Spirulina or moringa powder, I'll put in there as well. Yeah. I can give you some recipes. Someone asks, all this in one smoothie. Yeah. Because it becomes nutrient dense, curbs my appetite. I like beetroot powder. Very good for getting nitric oxide into the body as well. Good for circulation, good for the health of our veins and arteries. So and then I like mangoes, so I can put mangoes in there. It could be pineapple, sometimes some raisins. For people who have low iron, blackstrap molasses would be helpful. Blend that up real good and sip on that. Okay. And again, that would constitute a meal during the day as well. I don't always have 3 meals a day. My schedule oftentimes is I hit the gym, come back home. I may have oatmeal. Oatmeal is one of my favorites. In fact, there's something called the oatmeal cure that really addresses digestive and some other challenges where people mostly eat oatmeal and heal tremendously. That'll be another discussion for another day. But and then at some point I usually will get that soup in. It could be later on in the day or it could be in the middle of the day where I have that soup. In the soup, in my soups, again, we'll have the beans. It may have potatoes, like sweet potatoes, and are very common. It'll have my spices in there. Spices are vitally important. Our herbs are vitally important. Our cumin or black seed, garlic, onion, powder, not salt, and turmeric. Those things are very good for digestive health, for circulation, for satisfying and curbing hunger. When our body gets the amount of nutrients that it needs to get, it tends not to crave other things. So if you're craving all kinds of crazy things, your body's probably not getting the nutrients that it needs. Someone says they seldom eat more than once a day, but doesn't lose any weight. What's the problem? And the problem could be that you're not giving your body enough, or as often as it is. It's not just what I'm advocating is not caloric restriction. Actually, a person can eat plant-based as much as they want to eat. And guess what? It's not going to cause you to eat more to gain weight. I don't count calories. I look at nutrition density. I look at the quality of the food that I have. Okay. And I look and what really makes a difference, and I'm going to emphasize this even more. What really, really makes a difference is is my level of exercise. Because I know my body's not getting enough. If I'm tired all the time, if I'm not sleeping well, if I can't do a run and something's going, then I'm not my nutrition, something is off. Either my sleeping is off, and that's something that's very important as well. Getting your butt to bed, getting enough hours of sleep, 6 to 8 hours. The time of your eating is important. The time of your sleeping and how much sleep you get is vitally important. Okay. Load up on your nutrition earlier in the day and less later in the day. So is your body gonna hold on to the weight from what you eat, or is it gonna gain weight from what you eat? What time of day are you eating it? If you're eating it, midnight and late, much less processed foods, you're gonna tend to gain more easily than if you eat earlier in the day and that you're active during the daylight hours. I had a client who gained, oh God, she actually gained, she told me 100 pounds over time. And it was really within about 2 years that she gained 100 pounds. What happened? She worked second and third shift. So she's working afternoons or midnights, which means that the time that she would eat, the time that would be dinner time for her, was later, and she just piled on those pounds. So it's what you eat, it's when you eat it, it's how active you are, what you do during the daylight hours, that also determines how your body is going to hold on to weight. Utilize that as well. What do you put gas in your car before a trip or after the trip? Before the trip, right? So you load up earlier on as well. So it could be timing, it could be your level of exercise and movement. So you look at these things as well. All right. So are there any questions in the chat or online on Facebook? Let me look over here as well. And I'm going to encourage you to follow us on Facebook on Holistic Training Institute. I'm going to encourage you to look on YouTube as well. I'll be producing more YouTube videos. My goal, for those, some of you know me and my background. I'm a traditional naturopathic doctor. I started my studies. I started my interest in college when I was doing my undergrad. I started my studies within a year or so after that, and just became intrigued with it. What was an interest of mine became a passion, and I just I want to say went full speed ahead. It took me about 6 years before I opened a clinic in 1987. Operated that clinic for 32 years till 2020. My staff and I built from no staff and no clients, from zero to over 60,000 people over that 32 years. We served a lot of people, greater Detroit metropolitan area. People come from out of town. They come from Ohio, come from Canada, a number of different places. I did training over those years as well, but shut the clinic down in 2020, greatly precipitated by or due to COVID. And it was one of the greatest things that could happen for me personally, because I was doing so much and working with staff, and I mean, just operating a clinic, operating a business is challenging in and of itself anyway. And that was one of the reasons why I was putting on the weight. I was looking out for other people and my staff and keeping things going. That it was a lot, doing that and conferences and speaking and clinic during the day and teaching at night. It was a lot. And so it was challenging for my health as a caregiver, as a healer, and as someone who was looking out for an elderly mother and such. And so when the clinic shut down, it forced me to take a look at what was happening in my life, as well as the direction I was to do going forward. So I said, well, I've got a school. And I need to put more, I wanted to put more time and energy into teaching other people because I'd say, I'm not going to do this. I can't do this forever. Most of my colleagues have passed away. I've known a lot of people that you may know of, Dr. Laila Africa, Dr. Sebi, a lot of people who are out here who have been doing this holistic work have since passed away. I knew at some point, and I know I'm gonna be passing away at some point. Most people don't leave a legacy. Most people don't share that with future generations. That's my goal, and at this point, is to pass this along to teach as many people as possible. Healers in every home, in every family, in every community, the young people, whoever wants to learn, they can apply this and influence them, their loved ones and their community, so we can address these health disparities as well. So now I'm teaching. So it would help all of us to be more healthy, wealthy, and wise if we made different choices. We spend, our money on all types of things that don't contribute one iota to our being a better person, to being a better parent, a grand, or a better contributor to society. We got to be, we can be healthier and healers and help to address many of these societal ills that we're seeing going on the earth, right? So, smoothies. I talked about smoothies. Oh, again, oatmeal. I got some nice oatmeal recipes. If you will follow me on YouTube, on Facebook, give me the feedback. As long as I'm getting feedback from the community and people who want this, and the people who want training as well, let me know. You can go to holistictraininginstitute.com. Somebody's going to put that in the notes. Some of the people who assisted me. holistictraininginstitute.com. That's WHOLISTIC traininginstitute.com. You'll get information on what I share. A lot of people ask about herbs, medicinal herbs, and how to use them. So I didn't address that. I've addressed that in some other talks, and I'll continue to do that because it's when we understand the role of our fruits and our vegetables and our whole grains and those things, as well as the medicinal herbs, the cumin and the cayenne, the garlic and the onion and all these different medicinal herbs, and there are several, there are thousands of them, and how that contributes to improving our health naturally, so we have less dependence on drugs and surgery, and we can help to adjust and improve a number of conditions that people have. I don't know, people have joint pain. I'm not saying that as we age, where nothing is going to happen if we're just active. We do some things to help to mitigate that. We get more active, and we supplement and utilize more of nature's answers and remedies. And we go back to the Garden of Eden from the Garden of Eden, and we live longer and prosper ideally. So again, Facebook, Instagram, I do to an extent and such. But YouTube, I'll be doing more on YouTube. If you or someone who's interested in learning more, then definitely participate and share with others. You can get a free top. It's 10 herbs every home needs. I'm about to upload a revision on that. But top herbs every home needs is free to you if you go to Holistic Training Institute live on our platform. We have a teaching platform, and there'll be other courses that will be available on there as well. Okay, so we're at time. I appreciate your being here, your support. Again, share with other people and sharing all that. And I'll be here for the next few weeks, and then I'll be in California for a large conference, and I'll be sharing with you what I learned there as well. All right. So be good to yourselves, your loved ones, and I pray that many of you will be healers in your home and healers in your community, and will help to correct a lot of these societal ills, challenges, and disparities that we're facing now. Take care.